We're going to get straight to an important update into a long-running investigation into toxic chemicals at a military base. CBS News recently obtained military records that may finally at last explain why hundreds of service members deployed after 9/11 have gotten sick with rare cancers and other serious illnesses. They were stationed at a military base in Uzbekistan known as K2. Now, back in 2020, CBS News revealed that the serious health conditions many of those members were facing the report helped spur legislative action. So we uncovered the illnesses, then there was action. But 4 years later, the Defense Department and the VA are still studying the problem, while some veterans wait for much-needed health benefits. Senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge has been all over this story from the very beginning. She joins us now from the Pentagon. Catherine, good morning to you.
Good morning, Tony. A leading veterans advocate calls the records a smoking gun that indicates radioactive material at K2 in the soil and in the air put them at severe risk for illness.
This isn't even about money. It's about acknowledgement.
For 2 decades, Army veteran Mark Jackson combed through his deployment journals looking for answers.
The pain grew and absorbed my entire abdomen.
The ink-filled pages and yellow Post-it notes document his failing health while serving overseas.
And all of a sudden, I went from being able to run marathons to barely being able to walk up a flight of stairs.
The 46-year-old now takes a daily cocktail of drugs to manage his thyroid disorder, anemia, and osteoporosis.
What's to blame?
K2.
Jackson was one of 15,000 troops who passed through Karshi-Khanabad military base in Uzbekistan, also known as K2. A 2020 CBS News investigation documented toxic conditions at the base, including soil saturated with jet fuel and solvents, as well as warnings about chemical agents and radiation. Nearly 2 decades after troops left K2, the U.S. government has not confirmed that toxic material at the base made Jackson and other service members sick.
Felt like someone had been lying to me. Felt like someone had been gaslighting me.
His search for evidence got a major boost in October when he received an email with military records about radiation.
The records are the smoking gun. This is what we knew existed. This is what they said never existed, and now we can prove it.
Hopefully the data is the missing link.
Army veteran Nick Nichols sent the records to Jackson. He was part of a military team that tested the air and soil at K2 for hazardous material. He describes the conditions as
nasty is the easiest way to say it. I mean, just total filth.
Nichols, who was at K2 for about a month, says he had no idea K2 veterans are suffering.
Thank you for joining.
Until last year when he heard about a Veterans Affairs Zoom meeting where he tried to speak up.
I was the guy that was there that collected the samples.
But was told there would be no questions taken, and his offer to help was shut down.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to please mute your mic.
After the VA meeting, Nichols dug up this 2001 PowerPoint presentation from his files. He says this picture was taken because the radiation readings were shocking.
That is the holy crap. This is like the meter went off. It's like, you got to get a picture of this because, whew, holy crap.
The report warns of enriched radioactive material. Air is the pathway of greatest exposure concern. And Nichols showed us these soil samples containing what he describes as a refined form of uranium called yellow cake.
What's so hazardous about yellow cake uranium?
It's almost like a dust, and it can literally be caught up in the wind.
What are the long-term effects?
The long-term effects are you have a carcinogen in you.
CBS News asked 2 certified toxic exposure experts to review Nichols' records and other declassified government documents about the base. They concluded K2 was a hazardous health environment, and troops were at risk at the time. Last week, we took our questions to the Pentagon briefing.
The department has consistently rejected the yellow cake claims. How strong is your evidence?
We're not aware of any survey or report confirming the presence of yellow cake at K2 facilities.
We've just provided new records to the Defense Department from this environmental tester who was there on the ground. Will you now consider these new records?
Yeah, I'd have to take that question.
In written statements, the Defense Department and VA told CBS News veterans' health care, safety, and benefits are a priority. The VA emphasized that certain cancers are covered.
This scar was when they removed my thyroid last year.
But Jackson says many of his medical conditions were denied because the VA does not consider them related to his military service. But experts tell CBS News Jackson's health issues, which require daily injections, appear consistent with acute and long-term toxic exposure.
I've dedicated my life to this, and it will take my life.
Defense officials now tell CBS News they are open to receiving additional information, and a major study on K2 by Johns Hopkins is expected later this year. Jerika.
And Catherine, you did outstanding reporting, a reminder why we do what we do to reveal those kind of questions, taking it to government officials to try to get some answers. Thank you so much. Very revealing report.
Great work. You know, he said, I dedicated my life to this, and it might take my life. And it's sad because he also dedicated his life to this country.
Yeah. And, 1% of this country is out there protecting the 99% of us. And you would think they'd err on the side of protecting those people who are doing the protecting. But it seems like at least they're open now to further exploration.
And as he said,
that's a good sign.
It's about the acknowledgement.
The acknowledgement, yeah.
That's where it starts. Catherine, again, we thank you.